Me, I'm Sippa-Dippa-Fly. Mm-hmm.
Infirmary Media.
Now tuned in to the Selling Out Podcast.
What it does is reaches into your brain chemically and locates your happiest memory chemically, and then locks onto that emotion and freezes it chemically, and then it keeps you happy.
Hello, and welcome to the Selling Out Show. I am one of your hosts, David Schultz, and by my side, and my partner in crime, is Mr. Nate Gorzinski. Nate, how the heck are you?
I'm good. I had some last-minute rescue mission to pull to get my horses inside. It started pouring rain, Dave, and I managed to get there, clean their stalls in record time, and get them inside before they got soaked. So I'm feeling positive and like a Superman for having done it in record.
Amazing, because horses survive for how many years on this earth? and they got wet all the fucking time.
I know. How did they do it without me?
How do they live it? How do they do it? They're so fucking pampered. You got to clean their stall and usher them inside before a drop of water hits their heads.
That's right, man. Well, ask my girlfriend and she'll tell you that's the case. So,
hey, she's the boss.
Yeah.
Where she wants goes. But I got to point out something very interesting about this recording session today is that we are recording remotely, and you are in your childhood bedroom right now.
Yeah.
I see you on the Skype as we are Skyping in with each other, and I think it's very trippy to peer into that because there's a lot of nights I passed out in that room completely hammered.
Yes.
And now it looks like a lovely room fit for, I don't know, an actual child or or something.
It's a little small. I mean, to fill in our listeners, we're recording during the day today because that's when we have time to do it. And my girlfriend is at home working from home, so things get a little loud there, so we needed some quiet. So my parents were nice enough to let me come record in my old bedroom. So it is bizarre. I'm in this strange little room where, I don't know, lots of memories, and it definitely seems a bit smaller now that I'm 40 years old sitting in this room. But
well, I've never had like one place of residence my entire life to, go home to.
Right.
So I always think it's fascinating when, you grow up, you move out, and then your parents decide to redecorate the room.
Right.
And like for you right now, me peering in here, it looks like a guest room. It's nice, but you even have like a little teddy bear there.
Yeah.
Which must be your mom's touch to make it, I don't know, more country. I don't even know what kind of style you call it. What necessitates a teddy bear? Like it's a welcoming thing?
Yeah, I suppose so. He's inviting. Maybe there's some weird nanny cam and they can spy on whoever comes in here. And I don't know. No, I mean, to be honest, they're spying on me while I'm doing this.
Yeah. I mean, I couldn't even get the whole, motif out of my mouth about the teddy bear. I didn't even understand the aesthetic. But the nanny cam would make sense.
Sure. But, truth be told, this teddy bear has been around forever. I think my mother got this bear when my brother was a little kid. If not longer than that, I'm not sure exactly, but it's at least, I would say, 43, 44 years old. So
it's an antique.
Yeah.
Well, then, if that's the case, I would suggest that you stop humping it, which you're doing right now on camera, and that's disgusting.
Hey, that's private.
It's private. And I do have one bone to pick with you before we continue with the show, which we do have a great one planned for all you listeners out there. I did want to thank you for tuning in. Is that I keep recommending things to you on Netflix and you're not watching them.
I watched some of them. I don't know.
Which ones did you watch?
Well, which ones did you recommend?
There we go. I kept telling you, you gotta see the OA.
I know. I need to see that.
The OA, it just got canceled prior to season 3.
Unfortunately.
But I still swear by season 1 being some of the best television I've ever watched.
Right on.
Season 2 was a little spaghetti against the wall-esque for me. It was still good.
Yeah.
I think I suggested Glow for you. And...
Oh, I've watched Glow.
Oh, you have? Okay.
Yeah.
I'm addicted to Glow. I was just actually watching that before we started recording today. I was finishing up season 3, which is kind of embarrassing.
Some Mark Maron, you know. I've been a fan of his forever.
He's your dude, and he's fucking excellent on that show, top notch.
Right.
I like his cranky demeanor is right up my alley.
Sure.
I was gonna say it was embarrassing too because I was eating chili while watching Glow, and I was so into the show I looked up and chili just fell on me and everywhere, and I didn't stop to clean myself right away. I was like, I'm just going to keep watching this show. I'll be up in a few minutes. So this is the life that I live. Yeah. And I can't remember what else I recommended for you. But you see the most recent Stranger Things, right?
You're right. I have not watched that. I still have not watched the most recent season.
Well, there you go. Take the fucking teddy bear downstairs.
Yeah.
Get some popcorn ready and fucking watch some Netflix, will you?
I was thinking of starting a business or a career, like a life path and a vocation, if you will, where, man, I'm telling you, big money, I can do this. I'm going to either become some kind of like an exorcist or a priest or some kind of bullshit occupation that I don't believe in. Dude, I'm telling you.
Okay. All right, continue.
This sounds like the last thing that anyone would expect of me because I'm such a vocal atheist, skeptic, whatever. But I'm telling you, man, I feel like it's an easy enough job that I could fake. Like, I know all the lingo. I watch enough shit, and I have my history of churches and whatnot as a kid where I feel like I could fool the types of consumers and believers, into giving me their money.
Yeah, but your sights are set a little bit low. Because an exorcist, you don't really see those in the yellow pages.
Yeah.
A priest isn't like a big prestige kind of position, you know what I mean? It's not like you're, in the tab. Well, I guess you could be if you were fucking molesting kids. But at the same time, which seems to be the trend, right? What I'm trying to say to you is it's not like, hey, Father Jimmy over there, he's the one happening cat. I can't fucking wait to see what's up with him Saturday night,
Yeah, not exactly a get-rich-quick scheme.
There we go. That's what I was trying to say. Money. It's not like big money.
Man.
Yeah.
If I become some kind of a rich super pastor, one of these Joel Osteen, whatever, or one of these dudes, I could maybe pull that off because, dude, it's like it can be big money. And the funny thing is, right, if you're worried that maybe by saying this on this podcast, I'm ruining my chances of doing this. Well, look at L. Ron Hubbard, the founder of Scientology,
Sure.
This dude was the most prolific at the time, I may still be, author of bullshit science fiction, like crazy, far out, wacky science fiction stories. And he was on record as saying, while being a science fiction writer, this is okay, this science fiction racket, but if you want to make real money, you got to start a religion.
Well, there you go.
Yes.
That's what, when you're talking about exorcist or priest, no, you want to start your own fucking movement here, buddy.
There you go. Maybe that's it. See, this is why I need you.
Yes.
You can be my main man.
Your PR.
Doing this shit.
Well,
man.
I was going to say, the fake it till you make it kind of careers, right? Anything that you can just kind of like fraudulently be something.
Yeah.
All right, so you're saying start your own religion. Check. I get that one. Country western singer. That would work too, because those fucking guys, come on now. Anybody can put on a pair of cowboy boots and sing about fucking how lonely it is at the goddamn rodeo, right?
Yeah.
What about some other ones? Can you think of any other ones off the top of your head?
Oh, man. I don't know, dude. I'm focusing on this one because I think, dude, I'm telling you, because I think it could even work in my favor that I have been such a vocal atheist and skeptic type because, look, imagine the redemption story. Like, that would sell it even more. Like, this huge non-believer that talks so much shit about it. Look at my social media. I'm talking all this anti-religion shit. If I had my quote-unquote come to Jesus moment, Dude, that would be fucking huge.
I saw Christ. He told me to turn around.
Get behind me, Satan.
Yeah, I guess.
Dude.
Yeah, you're right. That's like a fucking complete seller there. Because people just believe anything. We live in a culture that like our news comes from memes.
Yep.
So you could just tomorrow fucking play, as they say, like in wrestling, turn heel on
Yes.
atheism, and they're gonna think you're the next fucking Jim Baker.
Yes, dude. And before I get off this, I want to say that when I'm thinking of these ideas for this show, I'll often use my phone as a little handheld microphone recorder thing, like a note to self.
Yeah.
You know. And when I said the word exorcist, it came up eggs or cyst, like CYST,
Sure.
like a cyst.
Yeah.
So, that's kind of, apparently even my phone does not accept the validity of such a bullshit occupation. They're like, exorcist? That does not compute.
I'm an I'm an exorcist every time I make scrambled eggs.
Yeah,
Out of the shell!
cysts.
Out of your shell, you evil little fucking yoke! Get out! Nate, I want to give you a hot take.
Okay.
Are you ready for this? You get your buns covered because it might burn your britches.
Yeah, I want to take your hot take.
All right. It's a hot tip for you. Is that with all the talk now about guns, you know my feeling on guns. I say ban all of them. I don't give a fuck. Come on.
Guns.
Fuck guns. Thank you very much. But the whole thing with gun control legislation, everybody, the politicians, their pockets are lined with NRA money. So they want to talk about background checks.
Mm-hmm.
Background checks, which to me seems like a flaw in itself and a terrible way to start, because background checks really only flag anybody if they've already committed a crime or some sort of act of violence, or if they've sought help for potentially having some mental issues.
Right.
So if you get a clean slate and you're a first-time nut job, you're still good to go to get your gun.
Right.
Second
That's
thing,
true.
all these crimes or these mass shootings and everything are being performed by these assault rifles, right?
Yeah, that's right.
So what kind of fucking lunatic would fill out a form to buy an assault rifle? That should be a clue right there. That's like jars of piss in your house, pieces of like, I don't know, other people's hair, just complete fucking utter nutbaggery.
Right.
And the moment that you start that application for an assault rifle, boom, denied.
Yes. There's
Denied.
a red flag.
Boom.
Just ordering the gun itself, trying to get the gun, is a red flag in itself.
Like buying sushi at a gas station. Right there, it's wrong. Don't let them have it, right? No, seriously, like if you worked at a gas station and you let someone buy the sushi, there's a special place in hell for you, my friend.
Yeah. Don't let them do it.
Don't let them buy the gas station sushi. Same thing with all these assault rifles. Like I said, again, for me, ban the motherfuckers, but talking about any kind of legislation that's just pushing forward just the whole background check thing is a fucking fatal flaw in itself. And everybody should be dragged by horses, maybe your horses, because now they're dry, through the streets and punished for even bringing this up. Let's just ban the fucking things. Sure, we all know vaping saves lives, but now I want to save you some money. Visit NorthlandVapors.com. Proudly made in North Dakota, Northland Vapors line of e-liquids contain no artificial sweeteners, are dictone-free, and won't gunk up your coils. Whether you're quitting smoking or an experienced vapor, Northland carries a variety of flavors and hardware, making it a one-stop shop for all your vaping needs. Northland believes quality doesn't need to be costly, and right now you can use code SELLINGOUT19 and save 19% off their already amazing prices. So what are you waiting for? Get your head into the clouds and shop online at northlandvapor.com or visit their locations in Moorhead and Bemidji, Minnesota. Some products contain nicotine, adults only. I had recently discovered or found out that someone very close to me has a terminal illness. And as hard as this is to process and deal with in itself, especially because of again, I mentioned how close they are. I don't really want to say right now on air who it is, but you can just kind of imagine who it could be. Anyway, my whole thing was when you find out someone that you love is going to lose their life. They're going to have to battle a little bit, but no matter what they do, that's it, is you have time to deal with your grief while the person's still alive.
Wow.
And in many ways, you have the ability to say goodbye, say what you need to say, or resolve any issues that you might have with that person before that day finally comes.
Mm-hmm.
Now, in my case, when I was talking to that person on the phone recently, they had informed me that there were no more treatments to be had. This was the next stage. They were going to do this, and then it was going to be hospice, and that was all. I lost my shit. Yeah. I started bawling like a baby on the phone, and maybe it's my nature. Maybe it's just the way I live my life. But the first thing I started to do profusely was apologize for basically the cretin that I've been my entire life and how they deserved better than what I provided for them, especially in comparison to what I received.
Yeah. Now,
in many cases, and especially with me, when I've lost someone in the past, it's been sudden. It's been fast. You know, if you've had any regrets about how your relationship went with that person, you kind of had to process them afterwards, but over time you iron them out, or at least, again, I have. You come to a place of peace with the whole situation.
Sure.
But now I'm in uncharted territory with this whole timetable scenario, and plus, again, you want to release all your emotions and let that person know exactly how you feel, but at the same time, you've got to realize that they're dealing with a lot. They're facing their own mortality head on.
Of course.
And as much as they probably appreciate, me apologizing, saying these things, it's a little heavy of a topic when maybe they want the distraction of talking about everyday things.
Sure. Yeah.
They don't want to be confronted with all this like a tsunami at their doorstep. It's like, I almost feel like it's now or never. I've got to fucking say this shit. I've got to let it run out of my face with these tears.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's the right thing to do, the wrong thing to do, but I'm heartbroken over the whole situation.
Yeah.
But again, this is life. It happens to everybody every day. And I'm still going through the whole process of it and trying to, it's hard. It's not always real.
Right. You know? Man. Oh, I can't even imagine. I mean, as you said, it's kind of, I don't like using the word, but it's kind of a blessing to be able to have this opportunity to say what you want to say. I don't know, man. Well,
I mean, Nate, a lot of people wish, kind of, I understand. A lot of people say, if I only had one more day, to say or spend time with that person, what I would do, how I'd approach it. And for me, it's like, that's a lot, I mean, because I'm talking about now possibly the span of a few short months or so, give or take.
Wow.
And it's like, it's just so fucking ridiculous to me that I can't do anything. I'm powerless to help that person.
Yeah.
And I don't want to sound like a fucking, I don't know, ungrateful son of a bitch, because there's so many people out there, even listening right now, who've probably been through a similar situation. But again, it was easier for me dealing with regret after a loss. I mean, I remember my grandmother in particular. I had she died in a tragic fashion due to complications from a car accident. We didn't expect her to die, and just one day she was gone. And afterwards, I'm like, oh my God, I wish I could have said, I'm sorry for this, or I didn't mean that, and just give her a hug, a big old fucking hug, and say, I love you,
Yeah.
But how about you? Have you ever been in a situation where you lost somebody and you just went, if I only had said this one fucking thing, it would have made me feel better about, just basically having to say goodbye to that person?
Man, I mean, the older we get, the more and more people we do lose, and it's a sad fact of life, but yeah, I mean, there's definitely good friends that I wish I had let know how much they really meant to me, and things that I wish I could have apologized for, maybe. I'm thinking of certain specific scenarios where, maybe I was in a bad spot in my life, so I wasn't the best friend, and by the time that friend passed away, I really wish I had said more and apologized or tried to make things right. But I would say there's too many to count as far as things I wish I had more time with friends and family members who've passed. But yeah, it's a heavy subject, man. And
well, I wanted to bring it up today because I try to be as honest as humanly possible with anybody who listens to the show. That's what the show is about, is we kind of want to lay our lives out there. The good, the bad, the ugly. Here's moments that, I'm vulnerable right now. I really am.
You're opening yourself up emotionally. But that's what's the point if we're not gonna?
Yes.
We could do a silly little funny show that's good for a laugh, and we do that. We like to have a laugh.
You're damn right I do.
Yeah, man. But let's be real, and I know neither of us have shied away from some of the grittier stuff in our past or our feelings and emotions, and so yeah, I appreciate you being honest and talking about this stuff, man, because that's the best thing for you. You need to talk about stuff, and yeah.
I actually want to appeal to the audience at large here. If you're listening to this show, let me know how you've had to deal with this or how you would deal with something like this. Reach out to me and Nate and let us know at sellingoutshow@gmail.com, on Twitter at sellingoutshow, or on Facebook at sellingoutshow1. I really want to know what is the best coping mechanism, and really, it's not even the best. It's just, I just want to hear more stories about it, because I can go online, I can fucking read until my eyes start to bleed. Yeah. You know what I mean? But it's kind of better to hear it from people, and especially people that might, actually like my fucking show.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That'd be an added bonus, but I would appreciate the hell out of that.
So to bring things around to maybe a happier memory, something.
Please.
Yeah, man.
Get my mind out of this funk.
Yeah, well, one of the happiest periods of my life I remember was, in general, that age of, I would say, from 10th grade-ish, that probably till senior year. Those were some great years, and I still can't explain how this happened, but we would have the foreign language trip in my high school where they would bring a select however many kids on a trip to Europe. You had to pay for it, obviously. Your family throws in the moolah, but it was at a discount because so many kids were going. And they called it an educational trip, and it was to an extent. But they'd bring you to Europe and sometimes to Mexico, and it was a great experience. And I was fortunate enough to go to two different trips, my junior and my senior year. And the one I want to talk about specifically is my junior year of high school. They brought us to France. We stopped in Belgium briefly, and we ended up in Germany, in Berlin. But in the middle of that trip, we spent, I would say, about 3 days in Amsterdam.
Oh, yeah, baby.
Yeah, Holland. And our hotel was in Rotterdam, but we spent all the days walking around Amsterdam. And I tell you, man, back in those days, America was still far more draconian in their point of view on marijuana, of course. So imagine bringing a bunch of kids and to Amsterdam at that age, late teens, and they would take us, we'd maybe have a guided tour for the first, hour or two, couple hours of our day walking around Amsterdam. Then they would say, okay, this area over here is what's known as the red light district, the fabled red light district of Amsterdam. So, anyway, kids, meet us back at this area in about 2.5, 3 hours.
I wouldn't even want to chaperone kids now to the local museum, let alone to Europe.
Yeah.
And the red light fucking district.
Dude.
Holy cow.
Yeah, man. And we took full advantage. I mean, there were a good portion of the kids that went, of course, were well behaved, probably never tried a drug in their life, and we're model citizens, little kids, teenagers rather. But there were a select few of us.
You. Then there was me.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, right.
We were participating in the local culture. That's how I looked at it.
Right, yeah, totally. Mixing with the locals, sure.
Yeah, man. So, as I mentioned, there were a handful of us. I would say there were about maybe 6 or 7 of us that all totally enjoyed partying together. We had this beautiful hotel with a sliding door that opened up onto a giant body of water, and there were sailboats and all this. It was a beautiful, picturesque thing to walk out your door and see. But a few of us had purchased over the counter, mind you, we went to some head shop looking for whatever we could find, and we noticed they were selling legal psilocybin mushrooms, psychedelic mushrooms.
Oh, man.
Dude. So we purchased however many grams of the shrooms, and I will say they were some of the best mushrooms I've ever had. I mean, obviously they were cultivated in an industrial fashion. It wasn't like somebody just growing shrooms in their basement. By the time we got back to our hotel room and decided to party for the night, this shit was kicking in. The shrooms were kicking in, and man, we had such a good time. I mean, first of all, we're still new in the town, so we're rolling a joint, and we're starting to trip, and we're out on the back porch, and we're being quiet, trying to, like, whispering and being all nervous, and then our friend Jenny, all of a sudden, I remember her looking at us and saying, "Guys, it's legal." And that feeling of you're tripping and you're kind of anxious, and all of a sudden all that weight was lifted off your shoulders, like, oh yeah, we don't even have to be nervous. Yeah. So that in itself was great.
I'm rolling a joint!
Do something.
Yeah.
You know? But I tell you, the one memory that really strikes me more than any is that we had these really friendly ducks, these big-ass ducks walking around outside of our sliding door. Like I said, we were on a body of water. So I'm talking these ducks, they were like, they may have even been geese. They were big-ass freaking waterfowl, whatever they were. And one of them was getting real friendly, would come right up to you. It was almost like the people that stayed in the hotel often would feed these animals because they would come right up to you. And we're all tripping, laughing our asses off at these friendly ducks. And I remember at one point I'm smoking a butt, and I'm like, what does he want? My cigarette? He keeps coming up to me while I'm smoking. All I have is a cigarette. So I hold the cigarette out towards him, filter end first, like, here, you want a puff? The frickin' duck grabs the cigarette out of my hand, and it stayed in its beak as though he was walking around smoking. No word of a lie. This fucking duck walked around going, meh, meh, and as he would, the cigarette, which is kind of hanging onto his beak, would kind of like, meh, and it would almost look like it was puffing smoke. So I'm,
okay.
The weirdest shit always happens when you're tripping. So
well,
yeah,
if it was even real, you met Howard the Duck and you gave him a smoke.
Yeah, it could have all been just a
crazy hallucination. Yeah, like you remember this as a fond memory, but maybe none of it was real.
Yeah.
The smoking large waterfowl. And if it was real, you probably gave the damn thing fucking, lung fucking emphysema or something. So shame on you.
I know. Pete is just going to be out to get me for that one. But yeah, man, the whole time was a great experience, and I'm glad I got to do it. I'll say it again. I've been blessed in my life to have some great experiences. I've been really lucky, and I had a great family. So I will look back and appreciate that shit. But yeah, man, if anyone gets a chance, I mean, now the allure has kind of worn off a tad because of America's gradually,
loosening up.
Loosening up on our
drugs and stuff. But dude, like hallucinogens and stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, you could go to Colorado and fucking puff on some grass.
Yeah.
Or even,
and they're talking.
What's that?
They're talking about making shrooms legal in Colorado. But anyway.
Well, there you go. But I mean, my whole thing of the story isn't anything to do with any of that. Mm-hmm. It's more like, where the fuck was the chaperone? And this is more like a cautionary tale to parents out there. Now that we are of the age that we would be parents, the kids are around the same age.
Yeah.
Is that don't let your kids fucking go to Europe.
Yeah. Well. Dude,
they're gonna be fucking, not dropping acid, but chewing on mushrooms and letting fucking ducks smoke. This is not a safe environment for your teenager.
No, man. But interestingly enough, shrooms in Amsterdam, I watched this crazy story not too long ago because they've recently, I'm saying recently, it's probably 10 years ago now, but they actually, of all places, Amsterdam actually cracked down and made hallucinogenic mushrooms illegal. That was like the first time they've actually gone back on drug legalization. And it's because all the tourists, it's never the locals. The locals can handle their shit because they don't get out of control. They're just like, okay, it's like booze, you just buy it at a store, no biggie. But all the tourists would come in and go nuts, and they couldn't handle their shit. So, dude, there were these highly publicized cases of, like, one woman who was a totally great student, or a girl, not a woman, a young, like, great student, all this. She takes the mushrooms and ends up committing suicide. And it was this big publicized thing because she was fairly wealthy. I don't know if she was French or whatever. And then there was this other story about a similar thing where a guy was, again, a tourist, couldn't handle his shit. He's tripping on the mushrooms. And next thing you know, they're finding him with a disemboweled dog and a knife.
Good Christ.
And so this type of shit. And there were more stories than that, but they led the government to take action and actually make these mushrooms illegal. And just to finish this up, a little way that the manufacturers found to get a little loophole and thing, the law was written so that they just altered the conditions of how they grow their mushrooms a little bit. And the mushrooms, instead of being mushrooms, they grow into a psychedelic truffle. Where they stay underground, and so they still sell these truffles that are hallucinogenic, apparently have similar effects, but they're not mushrooms.
You ban shrooms, I'm growing truffles, motherfucker. That's what
A.
I'm doing. The thing about the guy with the dog is a little bit alarming. The rich girl committing suicide is terrible. But I was a little concerned that maybe that the reason why they banned these substances were because they were overloaded or over inundated with a bunch of transient ducks who might have hit hard times. They're living on the street now, begging for smokes. And they said, you know what? Fuck this.
Looking to experience ultimate relaxation and relief of chronic pain? You need to try the healing power of CBD with hemp bombs. Visit hempbombs.com for a wide range of pure, premium CBD products. From oils, capsules, gummies, pain-frees, and more, Hemp Bombs has all you need in store. Better sleep has proven to boost your immune system. And if you or a loved one live with discomfort, CBD is a natural organic remedy that works. Start living your best life today with Hemp Bombs. Fans of the show can save 20% off their entire order by using the code SELLINGOUT at checkout. Once again, that's code SELLINGOUT for 20% off at hempbombs.com. Dave from the Selling Out Show here to tell you about Spunk Lube. Spunk Lube is a multi-award-winning lubricant used by professionals in the adult film industry. Spunk is available in hybrid, pure silicone, natural, and pink. Spunk is made with the highest quality ingredients and is non-staining, hypoallergenic, and cleans with ease. Enhance your love life with Spunk. Right now, Spunk Lube is buy 3, get 1 free. There's no excuse not to give it a try. Spunk Lube, a high-end product for an affordable price. Visit spunklube.com today and you can thank me later.
Dust off your LPs. It's time for Nate's Notes.
We all have those friends or family members who introduce us to interesting stuff. On his WTF podcast, Mark Maron, who we mentioned earlier actually, often talks to his guests about how his older brother was the one to open him up to new music. Sometimes it's a cousin or a neighbor, or just a friend from school. When I was in 7th grade, I had a music class in which we were allowed to bring in CDs. And towards the end of class, we could play a song on the class stereo, provided it passed the teacher's scrutiny as far as questionable lyrics were concerned. To be honest, not a lot of kids took advantage of this little perk, but I sure did. Shit, here was a legal way to listen to music in class. Plus, if no one played a song that day, the class just continued, and we had to actually learn. Ugh. So, one day, I had popped in the song Tommy the Cat by Primus. Being like 1992, most, if not all, of my classmates kind of looked at me strange while my selection was playing. Primus was still unknown, I guess. They were still this unknown band of weirdos at that point. My Name is Mud had not yet broken through, or even been released, actually. At some point during the first minute or two of the song, the doorway connecting our class with the adjacent classroom opened, and a kid with dyed blonde hair walked in, apparently to retrieve something he had left in our room previously. He had a confident air about him that I liked, especially combined with his kind of skateboarder attire and dyed hair. I was only about 13, and this was still the very beginning of the whole alternative culture explosion, so there weren't a lot of kids that looked like this dude in my school. The thing that endeared this unknown person to me was that when he heard the music playing, his ears seemed to perk up, and he asked, "Who's playing Primus?" I raised my hand, and as if on cue, we both started singing the refrain, "Say, baby, do you want to lay down with me? Say, baby, do you want to lay down by my side?" etc. The dude's name was Andrew Jones. He was a couple years older than me, so we didn't have classes together, but we would talk in the halls between classes, and eventually he invited me to hang out after school one day. The rest is kinda history. Andy became one of my best friends, and years later, we would embark on our own musical journey, playing in a band together and getting to tour with some bigger names in the field. But in our younger days, we would just hang out after school or on weekends, smoking weed and listening to a lot of music. Sometimes finding a place to skateboard for a few hours, sometimes heading to the arcades to play Mortal Kombat 2 or Killer Instinct. It turned out that Andy and I shared a lot more, music taste-wise, than Primus. We were both into industrial music like Skinny Puppy and Ministry. We dug indie rock bands like Dinosaur Jr. and the Lemonheads. There were so many areas where our tastes crossed paths. But being a few years older and having listened to music a bit longer than I, Andrew often introduced me to new stuff that I didn't even know about. If it weren't for him, I don't know if I would have gotten into electronic acts like Aphex Twin or Square Pusher, noise projects like The Boredoms, or even Shonen Knife may have flown under or over my radar. Andy exposed me to countless bands or artists. One genre that I was certainly under-familiar with at the time was hip-hop. I was so into the weird, the underground, and the harsh or noisy that I felt like hip-hop was simply too mainstream for my sophisticated palate. Yeah, I was a precocious and pretentious teenager. Hip-hop as a genre was just too ever-present and overblown for me to consider it. For someone who claimed to be open-minded to music, I was a bit quick to almost dismiss a whole style of musical expression. I think that another part of it was that I had trouble as a suburban white kid relating to the expressions of a primarily black urban population. I definitely wasn't racist, I just didn't have a frame of reference. And even though I was equally as unfamiliar with the woes or lifestyles of any German industrial artist or Japanese noise project, I think it was the fact that it was so huge and popular that it just turned me off. So Andy introduced me to some of the acts that weren't all over the radio, that still had the respect of the rap community. My gateway drugs into hip-hop were weird acts like Kool Keith's Dr. Octagon Project and his earlier group, the Ultramagnetic MCs. I loved getting stoned and listening to the early Busta Rhymes albums. Busta blew me away with his speed and articulate wordplay, not to mention his over-the-top persona. I won't get into the countless rappers that started to work their way into my listening rotation. I'll just say that I quickly realized that I was selling myself short and depriving myself of some real entertaining and thought-provoking art. I've mentioned before how the 90s were a real golden age for hip-hop, and the amount of talent was almost overwhelming back then. The late 90s saw the birth of this phenomenon known as backpack rappers. I'm running out of time here, but basically the backpack scene was less about the gangsterism that had worked its way into the scene, and more about the talented flows and freestyle rap battles. Instead of flashy clothes and huge entourages, this new crop of artists came to the game armed with just a backpack filled with notebooks to write down their ideas, hence the term backpack rappers. Guys like LP, Idea, Cage, the group Atmosphere, and this episode's suggested artist, Aesop Rock, were representing real poetry and not just street culture and gang life. Aesop Rock specifically ended up making a name for himself as a truly unique talent. He's known as having the widest vocabulary in the game, and some study pointed out that he's used somewhere in the vicinity of 7,400 individual words over the span of his catalog, more than any other rapper, more by far than even William Shakespeare. You can hear a bit of his verbose skills here.
Send a pedestal to patronize the rest of the cards in a mess of obnoxious fantasy, posturing and pageantry. I ain't even mad, I'm impressed, shit, it's baffling. God almighty, chopper night, we tower the piano keys. Play your own dirge on the way to surfing Maggot Beach. You fucking dorks ain't a source of the art. You can't be cooler than the corners where you source all your parts. The poker face, all it takes a couple sordid remarks. We let the manicore out, we make the sorcery bark. Life is so unfair. Party over here, I'll be over there.
So, in summation, it's important to have those people in your life that can introduce you to new things. It's important to give things an honest shake before you dismiss them entirely. I'm sure somewhere down the road, I would have eventually discovered what a great and unique art form hip-hop can be, but thankfully, I had someone to kind of guide me into it at a younger age. And I feel that my life has been all the richer for it. Andy brought a lot of light into my world, and into the lives of many others. Getting me to dig some music was honestly just the tip of a glorious iceberg. And dude, I know we talk a lot about Andy lately, which I think is great because we keep the dude's legacy alive, and we've mentioned him a few times on our last few episodes, and we dedicated our first one to him, as we've mentioned before. But yeah, dude, the guy brought a lot to our lives, and we're
And he's still sending me postcards in the mail.
That's right, man.
Right? That's the little catalog talk for anybody who didn't hear that episode. That a postcard with his name, an advertisement rather, and like, hey, visit me in Hawaii. But one of those arrived, and it kind of freaked me the fuck out. You know, was it a sign from the great beyond? I don't know, but yeah, you're right. He has a lot of influence on this very show. Because if he was around today, he'd probably be on the show with us talking about the same shit that we talk about, you know?
Yeah, man, I think it would be awesome if he were around and he could be on the show. I know he would have loved to do it, but hey, man.
Remember, I'm not trying to go on like Andy's stories here or nothing.
Nah, that's fine, bro.
But what was his shirt that he had? Was it "Fuck Fred Durst"?
Did he have that? I didn't even realize.
Yeah, well,
that.
he wrote it in Sharpie. It was something about because he fucking hated Limp Bizkit beyond fucking belief. And we were at some show at the Palladium in Worcester, Massachusetts, and he's like, "Yeah, fuck that guy" or something. And he made the shirt. I don't know if they were playing there that night or whatever, but he was fucking rocking that shirt, and I just thought it was coincidental because this morning I saw there's a new movie that's out starring John Travolta that's directed by Fred Durst.
Oh, wow, man.
And I thought about Andy for a moment because I'm like, oh, I thought that guy was just wiped off the face of the earth. And nope, he's back directing movies. I'm like, Andy wouldn't have cared for that one very much.
Dude, right?
Nope, not at all. But yeah, he hated them. I remember he didn't like the Black Eyed Peas when they added Fergie.
Oh, yeah, that ruined the Black Eyed Peas. Dude,
that was the thing of his.
We went and saw the Black Eyed Peas when they were still a credible band. They were opening for Outkast. I remember we saw them. But yeah, the Black Eyed Peas' first album or two were very good albums. And they were almost in that sort of backpack style. Not exactly, but they added Fergie and turned into this cheesy pop group and just kind of ruined it. So.
They were credible, but they weren't rich.
Yeah, maybe that's it.
Now
man.
those motherfuckers, you can say anything you want about, hey, you lost your credibility. They'll be like, you know what? I'm speeding by in my Porsche.
Yeah.
You let me know when I'm fucking flying by at 80 miles per hour, just fucking throwing money out the goddamn window.
Dude, seriously, man.
So, there it goes. But he also, I remember he was like the first one on Eminem.
Yeah. Yes. I remember that. He saw Eminem at this tiny club in Cambridge, Mass, the Middle East, and that was the last time Eminem ever played a club that small. I tell you.
Yep.
Actually,
we saw Cool Keith at the Middle East, but we don't want to talk about that. That was a rough night for me.
Yeah, you got booted out of that show not once, but twice. You got booted out, managed to sneak your way back in, and got booted out again, not because they noticed you were back in, but because you caused enough of a ruckus to warrant being thrown out again.
Yes, and I was ruckus with all you guys and my friends, and I got left in the city over the night, and I had to figure out a way to stay alive, completely wasted, just roaming around the streets of Boston at fucking 2 a.m., which I did.
Yeah.
So I obviously I'm here talking to everybody right now.
Right, man.
But yeah, that was quite the experience. So I'll never forget Cool Keith. Of course, I loved the Dr. Octagon album.
Yes.
But that was quite the experience, that show. So we just went from a whole bunch of talk about, you and Andy and him being an influence on you, great friendship, to some crazy stories about him, to basically what kind of fucking, cuckoo machuki, to use a word that I just invented, that I could be when completely liquored up. I'm going to get that on a t-shirt. Cuckoo machuki. The Selling Out Show, copyright, TM, all that fucking good shit. But you know what? Enough about that. Let's talk about your selected listening for next episode. What do you have for us?
Well, this was one of these weeks where everything was kind of last minute. I was having a very busy week, so I was kind of again down to the wire, not just figuring out how I was going to put together this Nate's Notes, but in coming up with next episode's selection. So I think just to further represent the skills inherent in hip hop, and there's an interesting story that I kind of want to tell about this artist. There's an artist named R.A. the Rugged Man. He's a guy who's been around for a long time. Again, I'll talk about him next week. But there's...
Next episode.
Oh, my God. Did I do that
You did it again. This is 2 weeks in a row. You kept fucking doing it. Jeez, what's going on with you, buddy? And, before you go on about the brawny guy, the paper towel man, that you like to call the rugged man. I'm going to, you said you were struggling this week or this time. See, now I'm fucking doing it.
Fuck?
I know we're just complete unprofessionals. We should be booted off the air. But still, I kept giving you an easy out on what to choose, but you don't listen to me. You don't care about me. You don't give me what I want. Instead, we're going this route. But anyway, continue, please.
R.A. the Rugged Man has a kind of rowdy disposition. He's a crazy dude, but he's got this one track that really kind of hits home for me, and it's called Still Get Through the Day. And so that's going to be next episode's suggested listening is Still Get Through the Day by R.A. the Rugged Man. And he's another one of these rappers that has amazing skills, amazing flow, uses a lot of syllables and a lot of words. So hopefully it'll be interesting, and maybe next episode we'll switch it up and I'll do some Michael McDonald or frickin' Doobie Brothers or something. I don't know.
Please, give me some Christopher Cross. Give me something else. I was in the mood for yacht rock all summer long, and you didn't provide.
Yeah, man, because I can't bring myself to... I can't imagine writing a whole Nate's Notes segment about yacht rock. No offense, but...
Have you ever listened to yacht rock?
Dude, I grew up with some Dan Fogelberg and Bread.
Yeah.
And,
So what's the matter with it? What's the problem? Where did it touch you? Show me on the doll.
I'm having trouble being inspired by it, but you never know. Things strike at the weirdest time, so it could happen, Dave. I'll keep you on the line. It could happen, buddy. It could happen.
Well, that's something for me to wake up to every morning. But the thing is, did you notice I call him the brawny man?
Yeah.
This rugged guy? Yeah. Because to me, that's rugged. That I don't even know if he's still on the paper towel rolls, the dude in the flannel.
He better be, goddammit.
Yeah, I know. I buy paper towels like every couple of weeks. I've never even noticed the brawny man is still around. But to me, that's the ultimate symbol of masculinity.
That's right
there. That's the guy. That's the tough guy who's fucking saying, clean up your messes, motherfucker, and use my paper to do it. I don't know where that came from, but anyway.
Brawny man.
So, yeah, it is a brawny man. So, okay, we're getting the hip-hop couple episodes in a row. You're pulling the Kevin Smith on us, a little too wordy both times up, but still, it should be interesting.
Yep.
And hopefully everybody checks that out. Yep. Again, our social media links, actually where you post the videos is on Facebook.
That's right.
So make sure you check out Selling Out on Facebook, which is at Selling Out Show 1. And you can see the videos there. If you're too lazy to Google them for yourself, or if I completely just confused you and you're going to start looking up paper towel rolls on YouTube instead. But still, with all that being said, I want to thank each and every one of you for tuning into the show. We truly appreciate it. Virtual hugs for all of you. But now we got to hit the road, baby. I am Dave, that is Nate, and this has been Selling Out.
Peace.
Why can't you never look so glum? Tell me how we know they can't hear us coming. It's easy for me, I got a head start running away. Keep on for your disease spread quick. So how did you learn to be sick? So cunning. It's easy to sing, but you just keep on humming along. Infirmary Media.